Welcome to Half Full and a Cup of Joe with Joe Fulford, the show that's always overflowing with optimism and caffeine. Joe's got his game face on and his coffee cup full, ready to dive into the world of football. From the Florida Gators to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and beyond to college and NFL football, Joe's got the analysis, the insights, and the passion to get you pumped up and ready for the game. So sit back, relax, and fill up your cup with Joe. And now from West Des Moines, Iowa, here is Joe Fulford.
Well, good evening, everybody. We welcome you to another great edition of Half Full Cup of Joe, and we think we got a nice show lined up for you tonight. Rob Browne, SEC Insider, is going to join me. Loren Meadows also going to join me too. A little bit later on, it should be a good time, and we have a lot to talk about. Make no mistake about it. We have a lot that's going on right now, and we understand that. And we're going to get into the football side of things. We're going to talk plenty of it. But I just want to take a few moments here and just make you all aware. Okay. You know what I am. You know who I am. And you know my party affiliation and all. And I know it's not a show about politics, but what happened yesterday in our country was despicable. It was scared. It was scaresome. It was horrifying. It has no place in our society. Of course, I think you know what I'm talking about, the assassination of Charles Cook. Now, I know what he is. I know who he is and all. But, you know, we're still Americans, people. And we have people have a right to their opinions. And no matter how much we disagree with that, we should be conscious of it. And at least respect it and try and deal with it. Not saying they're perfect. Not saying they're right. I'm just saying it's something that we have to respect. What happened yesterday was disgusting. I'm appalled by it. It has no place in this society. Prayers go out to the family of Charlie Cook. And I want that to be said right off the very top. Because you know who I am, you know what I do, and all. So I want people to understand where I'm coming from with this. Okay? Plain and simple. But tonight, I am still outraged, though. And not just about what I just talked about a moment ago. I'm outraged about what happened Saturday night. Okay? By the way, welcome to this edition of Half Full and Cup of Joe, usually the animal. You can follow me on X under JAnimal45. You can follow me under my Facebook page. And speaking of which, I need to share that with another group of people there, which I will in just a second. Let me go ahead and do that right now. And of course, you can also follow me on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I am just beyond myself by what happened. I mean, it was just unbelievable what happened. Let's see, let me do this. Sorry about that. I forgot all about to do this. All right. By the way, you have comments, please comment on them in the chat room, and I'll be more happy to get to them. And we'll do that. Anyways, I am just disgusted about what I saw Saturday night in the swamp. I mean, it was one of the more surprising, upsetting, one of the more I don't want to say despicable acts, but it was not a very good game. It was not a very good game from the Gator standpoint. Because we all know as Gator fans that what these guys do, they should have come out and they just destroyed South Florida. There was no reason for them to be in the game. DJ Lagway should have played at his very level best and began the season and just played like an animal, more or less. And it was and what we saw during the course of that game, it was just unbelievable to me to see how much they were stalemated in the game. And I was stunned. I was just mortified how Lagway couldn't move the ball, how the offensive line was not protecting him like he should have, how the defense was unable to control Lagway during most of the game. You know, there we go. That's the game I want right there. Jaden Ball. For the game, Jaden Ball just had 93 yards, and the quarterback Browne, he threw for 263 yards against this Florida Gator team. Now, when you see that, when you see that, you know that there are issues with this Florida Gator team. And yes, it starts at the top. Make no mistake about it. I am not going to sit here and say Billy Napier played a horrible. Did not coach a good game. But I don't know what had happened. But it was like, I don't know. I think that it was like that they figured that maybe that this team could come in and they could just run over South Florida. They've done it before, they could do it again. But what they don't understand, but what these guys did not understand is this was a different team. They had defeated Boise State just 9 days before they took on the Florida Gators, a ranked team and a very good Boise State team. And in the process, I guess in the mind of these players, they thought that they could come in and just handle handle the Gators, handle USF. Lagway on the Gators had 222 yards on the afternoon. 222 yards of passing on the afternoon. They held the ball more, 34 minutes. But for South Florida, they were killing them. 391 yards of total offense on the day. Lagway's numbers, 23 of 33 for 222 yards, had an interception, and yes, he threw a touchdown. And Browne has 7 catches for whatever it was, it just it was a source. It was just an awful sight to see. Bob Browne's going to join me here in just a couple of minutes. But as we look at this, I kind of go back because after the game, I was watching some things and watching some post-game stuff. I was watching some post-game stuff like I'm trying to mute something here real quick. There we go. I was trying to watch some of the post game stuff, and one of the guys I was watching was David Waters of Gators Breakdown. He does a great job. I love David. Him and David Soderquist of High Top Sports, along with Sheldon of High Top Sports, they really call it. Besides Ron Browne, and as I was listening to that, David said something that was very interesting. It's something to think about here. Have we overestimated the value of the talent of this team? Is it really not as good as they are? I mean, I don't know. And I think Ron Browne, when he gets to having his pizza there, will join me. But I think this team is good. I think they just had a setback. And part of that is Napier's fault. But folks, a lot of it is also the players' fault too. And all throughout the week, people have been calling for Napier's head. Let's get him out of here. Let's buy out his $23 million contract. But you know what? The players are just as fault as well. Well, what do you mean, animal? No, you can't do that. You can't be criticizing these kids. These kids are students. They don't need to be criticized. When you are paid to play football with, quote, NIL money, part of that is receiving the criticism. And the players, no matter how much you talk about Billy Napier and his play calling ability, the players failed to execute. And I'm reminded of the most famous quote in football of all time. John McKay, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One time when he asked about the execution of his offense, he says in straight face, yes, I was in favor of it. It just amazes me how people think that, it's all on Napier, it's all on the staff. Well, the staff doesn't throw the ball to the players. The staff doesn't catch the ball. The staff doesn't block the players. And it becomes a problem, people. You can blame Billy Napier all you want to. And look, I have my fair share of criticism of Billy Napier. But you know what? As I bring Ron Browne into this conversation here tonight, and Ron, thank you for joining me.
Yep.
The players are also responsible for what happens, folks. It's not all about Billy Napier. It's not all about Ron Browne writing articles and criticizing Billy Napier. It's about what the player does on the field. It works both ways. If you're going to get paid as a college player with all these sponsorships and everything, you better be ready to accept the criticism. Ron, take it from here. I know you may have some disagreements with me about it.
No, I totally agree with you. I'm sick and tired of this damn coddling to these guys that are getting this. And once you take that NIL money, everything's on the table. And I think it's I don't feel sorry for these kids one bit. They're half-assing it, a lot of them. Talk to the strength coaches in today's world. The kids are not as hungry as they were because they're getting paid all this money too early. There's a reason why we always kept it college, amateur, the NFL, professional, because they weren't ready. They weren't worthy of getting that kind of money. They had to go out and prove themselves. And we got all these people that are coddling these student athletes. I use the term student athlete, laughingly, because I don't hear about any of them going to class. Nobody's academically ineligible anymore. And quite frankly, donor fatigue it's setting in. People are not going to continue to fund 7-5 and 8-4. Kid driving up to practice in a Dodge Charger or a Mercedes or a Bentley. I mean, they head coaches are getting a lot of money, but most of them, ask them when they started coaching early in their careers, high school football, they were making $20,000, $25,000 a year. Some of them, they had to work their way up here. We got these kids today are born on third base and think they hit a damn triple. It's ridiculous. I despise NIL. I detest its very existence, but we got to deal with it. It's a huge shit sandwich. We all got to take a bite. I don't like it. And I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. These kids are, a lot of them are entitled, spoiled brats. And you know what? Get on the coaches. But by God, these players are getting paid $100,000, $250,000, $500,000. And you got a family of 5 or 6 people that has to sacrifice. I love what Hugh Freeze did this week. Put that out on social media. He goes, I promise you, there's some family out there that drove from I don't know where to park 5 miles away from the stadium, because that's what you got to do nowadays, and walked or got a shuttle to come to this game. It's going to sit in the upper deck at the Swamp or Jordan Hare or Neyland Stadium in Knoxville just to watch you. You owe them something, and they do. There's no accountability, and I'm sick of this. The athletes are the victims. It's wrong. And you know what? I had Florida picked to win 10 games, but the players have got to do their part. Every offensive lineman on the starting 5 for Florida last week got a penalty.
Yeah.
There's your equity.
11. What was it? Like 11 penalties? And 11 penalties? My friend Colin comments, and I quote, over under 2.5 more Florida wins this year, which he questions, which I know he's saying it as being a smart ass. I know Colin, he's a friend of mine. But I mean, with the way they played against South Florida, buddy, that's not a far-fetched statement. At least based on the way they played last Saturday night. 11 penalties, uncalled for.
Well, I'm going to compare what happens on a Saturday, because I've been a financial advisor 34 years, in addition to doing sidelines and the shows on our SEC Sideline Sports Network channel.
Yes, sir.
The stock market. One day the stock market's down 1,500 points because the Fed did something right or did something wrong. And people say, what did you do today, Rob? The market was down 1,500 points. I'm like, I didn't notice. I was too busy talking to my clients. But the market will open up the next morning at 8:30 a.m., 9:30 a.m. sharp, and we'll trade again. So what happens is, like the Florida loss the other day, give South Florida the credit. Alex Golesh, Tennessee's offense has not been the same since Alex Golesh took the job to be the head coach at South Florida. Now, I get fired up about NIL because I manage people's money for a living, and we've never once in 34 years had a family with a lot of money give their 18, 19, 20-year-old kids anything, maybe $1,500, $2,000 a semester for spending money. And I'm tired of these athletes acting like they're victims. These universities have been around, some of them over 200 years. They are providing you with a platform to go out and do your thing. But I'm going to tell you what, these NIL checks these kids are getting for $250,000 or $500,000, not many of them are getting that much money, trust me. But you know what? They're bouncing around to 3 or 4 schools in 4 years. They're going to be athletic orphans. They're not going to have anywhere to go back to. If you play at Florida 4 or 5 years, even if you're on the scout team, you get your degree from a prestigious university like the University of Florida, degree in business, economics, communications, whatever. You are networked in with over 500,000 living alumni in the Gator network. That is powerful stuff, man. And I think that if I'm Billy Napier, I'm telling these kids, if you're coming here with your hand out, don't come. Because the fans, you know what? Ticket prices keep going up. And the fans are having to pay more and more and more. And you got people that have been buying season tickets at colleges in the SEC for 40, 50, 60 years that are getting bounced because someone else came along, paid more money. Whatever happened to loyalty? I guess it means nothing. But it damn sure, the kids today, you look at Kirby Smart at Georgia. He said the quickest way to destroy the culture of your program is to let the sense of entitlement set into your program. It's a cancer. It eats you up.
Boy,
look at Alex Anthopoulos.
So right.
Alex Anthopoulos, general
right.
manager of the Atlanta Braves. I do not allow clubhouse cancer cultures. They're gone. I don't care what we got. They're gone. You're right, Joe. I totally agree with you. Is right.
I mean, I see the game, and look, I'm not going to take away anything from South Florida. I mean, South Florida's a very good team. They've beaten 2 ranked teams. They're going to go to Miami this week, okay? I'm going to touch more about that in just a couple of minutes. And by the way, before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to Rob Higgins, who was named this week the Chief Operating Officer the new chief operating officer at the University of South Florida, aka athletic director. I've known Rob for a long time. I used to work in South Florida back in the day with SID guy John Gertis and Chris Freet. Rob worked at USF helping out with things. He went on to help out with the Super Bowl for Tampa. He's been a big part of the Tampa Bay community, and now he gets the job as a new AD at the University of South Florida, which means that program is going to go nowhere up. But back to the game itself. I was really mystified at. Yes, I think that Billy has some play calls that were bad, but by the same token, if they're going to be bad if you don't execute them right. And I'm saying that the players are just much to blame as the coaches, and it calls into question, Rob. Have we and like David Waters said, have we overvalued? Have we overprojected this squad here? Are they not as good as what they're projected to be?
It's not just Florida. Look around the country. If you've got a coach like Kirby Smart, like Nick Saban did, who demands and grinds and just pushes these guys out of their comfort zone day in and day out, and everything that they're focused on is winning championships and building that culture. And if you don't fit in, you're out on the street immediately. The problem, it's all over the country. Look at the laziness, the lack of effort. I mean, I love the game. It's great. But you're seeing more than you used to. Guys, look, they've tried to emasculate the game of college football. Okay? We all know it's about player safety. I don't need any lectures about, oh, you don't care about the players. Of course I do. Golly. But what do you think is going to happen? Think about all of us. If we were in college and we had a couple $100,000 in our checking account, we're 18 or 19 years old, what kind of effect would that have had on us? You're going to think, wow, this money will be coming like this forever. Sadly, it's not. But they're not teaching financial literacy. We talked about this on our show all the time. Put the money, look, I'm not against paying. I'm a capitalist, okay? But put the money in an age-banded trust or an incentive-based trust. And I get the lectures, oh, these kids' families, they need it. Okay, I understand that. But the colleges are not the Department of Health and Human Services. They're not there to provide support for 15 or 20 other people in your family. That's not their job. And we need to get back to focusing on football. But as Tony Barnhart says so often, not even the adults can screw it up. Franz Beard, I think, said it's idiot proof. And he's right. The game, we love the game. But you know what we really love? Are the players like a Tim Tebow, a Danny Werfel, Shane Matthews, that love the University of Florida, Ernest Graham, Fred Taylor, Eric Rhett, there's just so many players. What the legends, John Brantley. These are guys who are walking around with a limp in their 60s or 70s, who gave everything they had for the Gators. You picked the school. And you know what? They've done well in their work life, in their careers. Their NIL was, I respect you, animal. You went through 4 years at Florida. You were on the scout team. Only time you ran on the field was to hug your parents at senior day. And you got a degree in accounting from the University of Florida. You think that ain't going to open up a bunch of doors? It'll make NIL look like changing your couch cushion.
I know.
You can make a living with your hands, but you can make millions with your mind. Get your education.
Exactly. I'm totally it is crazy. And it was like these guys, they just acted like, I read off the numbers. They had like 200, and Lagway only had like 233 yards in the game. 23 of 33 had an interception, 1 touchdown. Ball had 96 yards on 18 carries. No touchdowns on the day for him. The defense gave up 263 yards passing against a South Florida team in Browne, who, by the way, even though it's South Florida, he looked really good.
Animal, I'm going to throw something at you. You gave up 263 yards passing. What'd you give up rushing?
Hang on. I believe it was in the 200 area. I can find out. Give me just a
There's
second.
your problem. You can give up 350, 400 yards
Here.
passing.
132 yards. 132 yards rushing.
That's
So
not
they gave-
bad.
That's not bad. No, that's not bad. But it's the
But
passing.
you've got to be
kills
doing,
you.
like I had a coach on this week. He said, I never got caught up in like, hey, we got to rush for 250 and throw for 170. We talked to Mac, former Texas and North Carolina coach. Mac Browne was in Memphis Monday night at the Touchdown Club. Had a great visit with him. He's going to.
I love Mac Browne.
I do too. And man,
I love Mac Browne.
He got a standing ovation from a packed audience at the Hilton in Memphis on Ridgeway. And
nice.
He is just one of the most personable. You cannot help but love a guy like Mac Browne. And he
said,
said,
I love Mac Browne. I love Mac Browne.
Yeah. And he goes, we got to do something. He goes, nobody knows who's in charge. We have no idea who's in charge. And it drove Nick Saban out. And say what you want about Kirby Smart. But you know what? I love the guy. I think if I was a coach, I'd be like Kirby or Will Muschamp, kind of fired up, as you can tell. But I think the problem is Billy Napier, man, the mistakes that I saw in the South Florida game, I saw in 2022, 23, and 24. Now, you've forgotten more about Florida than I know. Right or wrong? Am I right on that?
No, I think you're right about that. I think that the same mistakes are being made over and over and over again. And yes, to some degree, that is on Billy Napier. There's no question. But the ones that are making the mistakes are not the coaches that are calling the plays. It's the plays that are executing. It goes hand in hand, guys. Yeah. That is the point I'm trying to get across here. It goes hand in hand. If you don't like the way the play's called, that's fine. I get that. But you better understand, too, that somehow or another, somebody screwed up on that play. Be it an offensive lineman, be it a running back missing a block, be it a tight end missing a block on a passing play. It's all these little things that develop. Now, here's what I would tell you, okay? Now, what I know is this. Monday night, or Sunday or Monday night, the players had a team-only meeting. All right, no coaches were involved. It was just the Gators players themselves. I don't know what was said. I haven't heard anything more about it than other than the fact that it was a team meeting. But, I would think that people like Lackway and company stood up and hopefully put a fire under these guys because after that game, they needed it.
Well, I think, too, there's a false narrative out there. You can't coach kids hard today like you used to. Yes, you can. You can, and you better be doing it. Kirby's doing it. Nick Saban did it. And look what's happened to Alabama since he left. You know what we heard last year going into the preseason? Oh, it's so much more fun at Alabama. People are smiling. They're having fun. They're playing music at practice. They got that degenerate Roll Tide Willie coming out there addressing them at practice. They've got ice cream truck coming after practice and all this stuff. And it's just so much fun. And I said, you know what? It's all splits and giggles until you lose a game. And I said, I know that Alabama fan base inside out. My oldest daughter's an Alabama grad, okay? I can tell you. Once they lose their first game, you're going to hear the following. If they didn't have music blaring and ice cream trucks out there and Roll Tide Willie addressing the team, Saban would never have allowed that. They wouldn't be losing all these games. This is where we are. You got coaches that want to be best friends and they're concerned about the feelings of the players. That's stupid. You can't do that. You got to push these kids out of their comfort zone and push them because let me tell you something. The NFL is already giving feedback. They're telling us these kids are coming in. They're like on 6th grade level for math when they're freshmen in college. They're not being developed because a lot of them they're not as hungry as they used to be. What do you think is going to happen when you're throwing all this money around when 32 players came on and knocked on Saban's door the first 2 days after they lost to Michigan? He went to lunch, told his secretary, I'll be back, and he came back and he retired.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They these players are just coddled so much. Now, I will say this now. They're starting to get some players back. I've found out today that Caleb Banks is going to be back for the LSU game,
Huge.
which by the way is going to be a Saturday night game. You're going to see the game on ABC. To my knowledge, I think it's the first time that the Florida Gators have ever been on ABC TV. I don't know. You can correct me on that, but I mean on a Saturday night game, that is. I don't recall the Florida Gators ever being on a Saturday night game being called by Herb Street and Fowler. I don't remember.
I mean, when you and I were kids, it could only be on TV 5 times in a 2-year period, and you better hope you had cable or the neighbors had the blinds pulled up.
Hey, I remember. I can tell you this much. I remember a time when, like, let's say the Florida Gators played like at a 7 o'clock game. You couldn't see it live. You had to wait and see the replay 12 a.m. at night.
Sunshine Network. Remember the
Sunshine Network. Yes, that's what it was. Yes,
awesome.
Sunshine Network.
I loved that. And look,
I did too. Paul Kennedy and company. Yes,
I love Paul Kennedy. That guy. He was the voice briefly of Alabama football for 5 years. Remember?
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, 83 to 87.
Wow.
After Coach Bryant died, he was there 5 years, and then they brought back the legendary voice John Forney. This is Alabama Crimson Tide football. Coach Bryant leaning up against that goalpost in the south end zone, smoking on a Chesterfield cigarette. What a day!
Wait a minute.
Here at Tuscaloosa.
Wait a minute. No. You mean you must have another school because oh crap! The legendary he's a radio voice. He was the radio voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Well, that's Eli Gold. Eli
Gold.
But
yes.
No, John Forney did the games in the 50s,
on TV,
60s, and 70s. Alabama radio.
Radio. Okay. I did not know that.
And
okay.
Proud sponsors by Bromberg's Jewelers, the oldest jewelry store in America. Yeah. I mean, Joe, you're a history junkie like I am.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember David Neal. Was it David Steele? They used to call Florida Gator games. Famous radio play-by-play voice for many years before Mick Hubert took over that. Yeah.
Mick Hubert was incredible. Mick Hubert was so good.
Mick, let me tell you something about Mick Hubert. Of course I live here in West Des Moines. A few years ago, when Mick was still doing radio voice, the Gators were playing basketball here. The Gators were playing basketball here in the NCAA tournament. I believe it was like the first round. So I was able to spend quite a bit of sum of money to come and watch him play. And then I was able to watch him practice like the day before. And I had the distinct pleasure of meeting Mick. And he was such a great guy. I got a picture with him. Plus, he was able to let me do a one-on-one interview with him. And he was such a great guy. I really love him. And of course, then now you got Sean Kelly, who's also is a fantastic guy. Shout out to Sean what's the other one? The former quarterback, Shane Matthews.
Do the Sean Kelly and Shane Matthews.
Yeah.
Shane's the best color man out there.
I think so. I mean, he's not Shane. And by the way, he's Ron Browne of SEC Insider. Yours truly, the Animal Half Full Cup of Joe, coming your way. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook Live. I'm on the Iowa Gator Club Facebook website, and also X as well. And by the way, before I go on any further, Iowa Gator Club is meeting Saturday night to watch the Gator game. Going on Facebook site for more details on that, because you might want to get a seat for that one. But yeah, Shane Matthews. Shane is great at calling the game, okay? But he calls it like in a monotone way. Okay, you don't hear the excitement coming out of his voice like Sean Kelly, but Shane provides more knowledge about the game of football than probably most radio guys. He is so good.
Yeah.
And Sean Kelly, he's in the league. Sean Kelly, he's in a league of his own.
Yeah, and Shane Matthews is so good at he's usually 3 or 4 plays ahead. He's going, I look for the Gators to come out, maybe line up in trips or go 4 wide, single setback, whatever. But he'll give you a commentary like going, well, the reason why Florida's having so much trouble getting the passing game going is their running backs are not picking up the dang blitzes coming from LSU. If that doesn't change, the Gators are going to have a tough time getting out here with a victory tonight. Shane is, it's a color analyst who played 14 years in the NFL. He sees the game. He's like a microcomputer. He's seeing things, infrared, vision, night goggles. That's what Shane's got like NVGs in his eyeballs. That's listening to him on the radio with Sean Kelly. We should all do ourselves a favor. Listen to as many games, college football games on the radio as you can. And when you go to the games, you buy those headphones that go in your ears with the little thing that goes around your neck. It's the direct feed inside the stadium from the broadcast crew. And it's got 2 ear pods they put in there, and it hangs around your neck. They're like $30. I buy one every season. But when you are in a 90 to 100,000 plus seat stadium, it's like having air support. If you're infantry, you got to have air support to know what you're doing. You can't see. And the announcers are sitting there going, if you'll notice on the sidelines, they're warming up the other kicker, Joe Fulford Jr. from West Des Moines, Iowa. He's kicked a couple of 60-plus yarders in practice, but they say his problem is he is agoraphobic. He's afraid of large crowds. So we're waiting for the stadium. We're waiting for the stadium to empty so Joe can kick the ball. Here we go, boys.
I love it. Ron Browne, bring it, people. I love it.
It's fun. It's just fun time.
Yeah, it is. I want to touch on something else too. DJ Lagway.
Yeah.
Somebody made a comment, and I don't think this is right, but I could be. Said that this is Lagway's first SEC road trip of the year. I don't think that's right. But even if it is, it kind of takes me back, take a step back and say, whoa, this is a guy that's played less than a year of college football. Maybe we should give him a break. Now, one of the things after the South Florida lost is that he never changed his demeanor. He never showed anger. He was his silent, regular voice guy, saying all the right things. And he was being criticized very heavily on X. And you go back and look at my comments, and I made the statement, say, look, he handled this thing perfectly. You don't need to be a rah-rah guy to be a leader. You have to be somebody that performs, and you have to show character. And that's what Lagway did. And I was very impressed with the way he handled that press conference. Now, the way he handled that team meeting, I think probably was another story, which is why I think, Ronnie, this week when they go to LSU, I don't think this is going to be the same Florida Gator team, especially now that Caleb Banks is back in the lineup for the game.
Caleb Banks will make a difference. If you get more than 40 snaps off a defensive lineman in a game at max effort, that's almost unheard of. So the more depth you got, quality depth on your front seven, defense travels. Florida's got to get the offense going, but you're right. The players' failure to execute. Cool hand Luke. What we have here is a failure to communicate. Well,
bingo.
Coaches don't play the damn games. And again, spare me the victimhood. You've got kids, I got kids. We've all watched SpongeBob SquarePants, Mr. Krabs. Whenever someone's trying to get a pity party, he goes, "Let me get the world's smallest violin out here and play for you." I don't want to hear it.
Oh yeah.
You players are you're driving up in your Bentleys and your Rolls and your Jaguars, your Lamborghinis, and you put out a half-ass effort like you do. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You know what?
No.
Go waste your time. In the old days, we'd say, here's a quarter. Go to a payphone and call it. Kids today,
Call somebody who cares.
What's a payphone? But here's the thing. You mentioned you're going to be in West Des Moines, up on the Des Moines River, the Raccoon River, somewhere on some cool bar Saturday night, watching the game with a lot of Gators, and y'all are as passionate a fan base as there is in America. And you know what? Y'all are going to expect to win the game because you've got one of the best histories in the last 30 years of any college football program.
Yeah. And what's even more impressive is you knew what the Raccoon River was. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing to me. And if you ever make your way to Des Moines, we gotta.
Oh yeah, I'm taking you out to dinner. Yeah. I've been out to the track, man, and had a great. Hey, look, there's
the track is great. Prairie Meadows.
Hey, people talk about Memphis as the barbecue capital of the world. Des Moines, Iowa is the pork chop capital of the world. Give me a Chicago steakhouse, but I'll take a pork tenderloin or a pork chop in Des Moines any day.
Let me ask you something. Where are you based out of?
Memphis.
Are you?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, my wife and I, during the first, it's going to be our anniversary, but during the first week, we are going to be in Memphis on vacation.
Are y'all heading to Florida?
No, we're traveling Memphis and we're going down to Nashville. We're going to spend a few days in Memphis.
Yeah.
So I would love, we got to make plans to get together. I got your number, you got mine. I'll give you all the details on that. Yeah. I don't know how long you can stay, because I need to touch base on the Bucs and what happened. If you want to stick around, we can talk.
I'll help you. This is fun. I mean, I love your passion and energy, and damn, you got a cool set. I love the jersey.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Why don't you take a little sip, and I'll be right back with you in just a minute. Let's go ahead and switch our gears now. Let's talk about what happened Sunday afternoon. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I do not have my hat, and I'm shocked and appalled by it. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They traveled to Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Falcons, the first game of the year. They don't have Tristan Wirfs. They have to do a makeshift offensive line. They put Connor Bart on the left side of the line for that game. What happens? Baker Mayfield does not have an interception, to my knowledge. I don't think he had an interception. I think Baker had one interception in the game, but he ran the ball very well. As a matter of fact, let me get this game up here because I had it a moment ago, and come in. Here we go, right here. Okay, Baker Mayfield ran for 39 yards during the course of the game. Let's see if they show the stats here in the game. Baker ran threw the ball for 167 yards. Emeka Egbuka, the rookie wide receiver, had caught not only his first pass in the NFL, he caught not one but 2 touchdowns on the day, including the game winner as time was expiring. And for the kicker of Atlanta, Younghoe Koo, he had an opportunity to win the game, but missed a short kick wide right as time expired. Buccaneers win the game. They go 1-0 on the year. Now they play on a Monday night against the Houston Texans. Now, we got word today of some great news developing. Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin, they are back at practice for the first time since being injured. Coach Bowles has said, we're going to be very cautious. We're going to take our time, but there's an outside chance that they might be able to play in the game. Benjamin Morris and Christian Ezian also were back in practice. But Ronnie, as we come back to you and talk about this, I don't know how much of the game you saw, but man, I saw a great ball game. Can you hear me? Oh, wait a minute. I'm on mute. Hang on. No. No. You're on mute. You're on mute. You are on mute.
Here we go. Sorry about that.
There we go. Yeah.
I want to ask you about like growing up in Tampa. And I remember in '79, Neil O'Donoghue was the kicker.
Yes.
John McKay was there. Neil O'Donoghue, that was when they first started, was from Dublin, Ireland, and was going to college at St. Bernard's Abbey in Coleman, Alabama. And at the time, Auburn football coach Ralph Shug Jordan found him and brought him down for a tryout. He turned out to be one of the greatest kickers ever, Neil O'Donoghue. But John McKay wore that old bucket hat. You know, that was cool going back to those days. I mean, I love.
Oh man!
Kind of go over the jerseys in the background real quick for me.
Oh, okay. Okay. From
the red one, number 12 over there. Yeah,
number 12. That's an old Trent Dilfer jersey.
Gotcha.
That's a Florida Gator jersey right there.
Yep.
I got several other jerseys: Buccaneers, Rays, Old Style Buccaneers. I even got the new style coming, but that's not going to be till October. Yeah. Thank you very much, Fanatics.
I love the skull and crossbones too.
Yeah, my Buccaneer flag, and I got my Florida Gator hoodie sitting right there. So I try to represent the teams that I love well here, including my hat collection here, my water cup, and my other drinks that we can't talk about on the air. But you know what I'm saying.
The rheumatism medicine. Remember Beverly Hills?
That's right. Yeah, I got this cold. Yeah, I got this cold. I have to take this. You know what I'm saying?
The rheumatism medicine. Don't throw that thing near a fire.
I love that. I love that rheumatism. But I saw the game and unlike the Gator game, I was really intrigued by this team, the way they played, especially with the makeshift offensive line. I don't think they sacked Baker at all during the course of the game. I'm trying to find out those numbers, but Baker really played a great game. Gosh.
Well, I look at it every week. You want to try to have 3 sacks a game. You want to be in the low to mid 30s to upper 40s for sacks on a year. So here you are going into game 3. You're pretty much who you are by game 2 and what you are. How does Florida go on the road and get a win Saturday? Does it mean LSU has to self-destruct? I mean, look, LSU's not lighting it up on offense. Why does everybody think they've had 40 points in 2 games? They beat a Clemson team, 17-10 in Clemson. Well, Troy was ahead last Saturday, 16-0. Be careful about comparative scores, but they tell you something.
I saw that, and as I was thinking to myself, I mean, it's kind of like the same parallels to what Florida was going through. A less worthy opponent, and they're giving them a little bit of disrespect, and LSU almost loses the game. They don't, but still, I mean, it's kind of like the same parallels, and it just, we go back to the Gators again, and it's like, why show disrespect to a team like South Florida? But here's the thing. Here's the thing to all this. The best thing that can happen to Billy Napier now, number one, is win some games. Okay, I think that they win this week against LSU, and then the next opponent, I think, will be Miami. They win these 2 games, I think that the South Florida game is forgotten. But the South Florida game, Robert, can also be a blessing, because I'll tell you why. The more that South Florida wins, the more that they beat their ranked opponents, the more that loss turns out to be a, quote, credible loss. If you understand what I am saying. I mean, you can debate me on this, but I think that the more that South Florida wins, the more it looks good for Florida to say, look, South Florida is not this raunchy team that everybody thought they were.
That's true. When we talked with Rich Clark 3 weeks ago, executive director of the College Football Playoff Committee, on our morning show, he said they're not going to penalize you for playing a tough opponent and losing to them, but you can be punished if you lose to a lower level opponent. Well, if you lose to that lower level opponent and that lower level opponent keeps beating teams, if let's say South Florida beats Miami and they win 10 or 11 games, okay, I don't think that hurts you that much. Florida at 9 wins with this schedule will be the first 9-win team to get into the playoff. That's what I think. Now, here's what you got to ask yourself. Got to be completely honest, which you always are. You can't – I don't buy this. Well, LSU didn't really care about playing La Tech and Florida. No. If you're a really good team, you take a team that you dominate and you dominate them. You ever seen a lion or a cheetah hunt prey? It's quick, very efficient.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to do that with your opponent in football. This is what LSU's offense is. That's why I didn't put them in my top 6 in the SEC. I put Florida in there. I had Georgia and Alabama playing for the SEC title, Georgia to win it, Texas and Texas A&M, Florida and Oklahoma. So I got to go down with the ship. The band played the band played all the way through with the Titanic. Remember that.
And we go back and we go back to what we talked about. Did we overvalue the talent of this team? Are they not as good as what we thought they were? What's the old coach said? Well, who is it that said it's not who they thought they were, something like that. But I mean, that little quote can be applied to this situation here. Is Florida, are we underestimating the talent here of Florida? Or did they just have a bad game? I mean,
I'll throw a maybe on that because we don't know enough. But what I will say is last year, more than 3,400 plus players hit the portal. Okay. You need Cliff Notes to know who the hell's where. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that guy that used to stick around at Florida or Georgia or Alabama for 3 or 4 or 5 years, second and third teamer that was being developed, a lot of times he's starting at Boise. He's starting at South Florida. He's starting at Indiana. That's what's going on. You've got to understand and connect the dots. There's movement in the aisles. It's just like managing a hedge fund or a stock portfolio. There's buys and sells going on. There's a lot of activity. Some programs keep their players. That's a buy and hold strategy. There are some that are actively trading. That's guys, Ole Miss bringing in 40 people a year in the portal.
You know what? I think that applies to Loren Meadows. I think that's what he's been doing is trading because he hasn't been on tonight, but the soy dog decides now to join us in the dark.
Where is Mark? Loren, where are you? On the road somewhere, from somewhere. He's driving. He's driving.
I'm a gamer. I'm driving. Yeah, I'm driving.
What's going on, man?
Hey, nothing much. You missed.
You missed. Football started tonight, man. I had to get it in.
There you go. Hey, listen. You killed it the other night on the lowdown. Okay, and I just give us a quick 40-second summary of some of the things that you said on that show that really made a lot of sense about the Gators.
Well, I talked about the fact that, people need to stop creating these narratives that, you don't get to just say, well, Florida's going to win because it's USF. For weeks we've been telling people and for a couple, that this was going to be a game where if the Gators didn't play well, they were going to lose, and they didn't play well. So all these people trying to make up conjecture, that's number one. Number two is we spent all last season talking about this phantom offensive coordinator that was going to show up for Billy Napier. And he didn't hire one. That's his right to do that. But all this narrative that he told recruits that he was going to hire somebody, or the Bull Gators told him that he had to hire somebody. If a guy wasn't hired by January, early February, he wasn't coming. And for them to expect that Billy Napier now is going to hire somebody, he might hand over play calling duties to a Rob Sale or Russ Callaway.
Yeah.
There's not really anybody, and they would have to run his system. So this thing about, it's just like I've never seen so much conjecture about a team. This is Florida football. This ain't romper room. It's real life stuff. And the fact that, you say, if you say that this team is going to go, let's say they're going to go 4-8, then the conversation is no longer who the next offensive coordinator is. It's who the next coach is. If you're telling me that there are only 3 more wins on that schedule, then we need to start talking about who is the next coach at Florida. And that's the thing. It's like ever since Billy Napier has got here, I've heard everything from the Nick Saban to Sunbelt Billy. People need to make up their mind. And that's all I'm saying.
Well, and that's the thing that I touched on in my rant earlier tonight. By the way, he's Loren Meadows. That's Rob Browne. You're Totally the Animal. Have a full cup of Joe on Facebook, YouTube, and of course on my YouTube channel. Check us out and post questions if you have them. During my rant, I said, and I truly believe this, that we can criticize Billy Napier all that we want to and all, but let me tell you something. The players are just as responsible for what happened because these are players that get paid, Loren. These are paid players that have all these deals, riding in these Mercedes, buying these cars from Browne and all, and it's just when you see all this, it's like, Animal, you can't say anything bad about the players. They're just kids. No,
well,
they're kids. They're kids with money.
Right, but take the money out of it. I see kids making mistakes that high school kids don't make.
Oh my God! Yes, I mean, man.
And that includes DJ Lagway. I like DJ Lagway, like his family. He's got a great circle of people around him. But he missed 2 touchdown throws and another. And so, yes, I agree. He has responsibility. The long touchdown by South Florida. If they're hurrying, you got to hurry. That's high school. That's middle school.
Yes.
And so, I agree. Regardless of them getting paid, when the ball is kicked off, NIL goes out the window. Money goes out the window. What kind of car do you drive? The field, and Rob knows how I feel about this. The field is 53 1/3 wide and 100 yards long, and you got to kick another man's teeth in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, so, I agree.
That's the thing. It's like we forgot about the purity and the grassroots of why we love football. That's why we love football. We got to go out and make plays. And if Napier is not the answer, I'm not saying they could win every game. They have the roster where they can literally win every game going forward. But the problem is, year after year, there is a head scratcher of a game. For 4 years, Billy Napier has had a head scratcher of a game, which lends itself to, is this going to be, if we do this again for year 5, well, then there's going to be another head scratcher. It'll be at Auburn. It'll be at Alabama. Or it'll be at Vanderbilt,
Yeah, but here's what I said. I think Rob will agree with me on this. That should South Florida continue winning and keep beating these ranked teams? I mean, the more that South Florida wins, the better it actually looks for Florida. Because, in my opinion, I kind of think of it as a quote credible loss. Instead of one of these head scratchers. I don't know how you feel.
I disagree. And Rob, you can, because it's South Florida. I don't care if they go 12-0. Florida does not lose to schools in the state of Florida that are not named Miami or Florida State.
Fair point.
Period.
Go ahead. Well, go ahead.
Well, the other thing is we shouldn't know about players' NIL deals. We should know, like we used to, about how hard they hit and their bone-crushing tackles and how hard they work on the offensive line. We've got – I said this years ago in pro sports. All we hear about is the size of these contracts. We should hear about game-saving tackles, diving for loose balls on the basketball court, or jumping over the fence to keep a home run from being a home run. We have tried – society has so hard to emasculate football and make it soft. It does not work. You cannot have a game that is played. Football is a violent game. You know what you're signing up for. We've got to quit talking about, we've talked about it tonight, but I normally don't. The NIL and the portal. These guys that are moving around, once the data starts coming out and all these kids that are going to 3 or 4 or 5 schools in 5 years realize they're just athletic orphans and they've got nowhere to go and nowhere to network. Hey, if you go to Miami of Ohio or you go to Florida, you go to Alcorn State, it doesn't matter. If you go through hell for 4 or 5 years with your brothers and you stick it out and you get your degree in whatever, you will be associated with the closest friends you'll have, short of being actively deployed in a combat unit behind enemy lines. There's nothing like that band of brotherhood that sports brings you. Let's get back to that.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Loren,
point real quick. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to touch on a different subject here.
Okay.
It's my understanding that either Sunday or Monday, the players held a team-only meeting. And I found this out, but I don't know the details of what happened. Can you shed some light on that? Do you know anything about it?
No, I haven't heard anything about it. The one thing I really don't have a great sense of access to the players.
No.
Right. But what I will say is this is, one thing that I think is missing from this team, and Rob touched on it on my show on Tuesday, is there is no alphas. There is nobody that is commanding a sense of excellence from this team. So to have a players only meeting, I hope they was getting ready to go to blows in there, because that's what they need.
Yeah,
somebody needs to step up, because here's the thing. I know there's a guy in Gainesville, and every time Florida gets their ass beaten anything, he starts talking about money. Okay? I'm fine with that. But if NIL makes that much a difference in your football team, then Florida shouldn't be 1-1. They should be 2-0. So don't tell me getting after it. Man, I saw a possum. That's the first time I've seen a possum in Florida. That's interesting.
Alive?
Anyway. Alive?
I love it.
But
don't be on my show. Go ahead.
Don't tell me that it ain't about alpha dogs and just flat getting after it and being responsible, like he says, to your brothers and taking care of business. So, good for them. I would hope that there was a lot
I know.
BIG said a lot of slow swinging and fist swinging, in those type of meetings,
I don't know there was fist swinging, but I think DJ, unlike his press conference after the game, which he was heavily criticized because he didn't show any emotion, and I'm like, well, you don't have to show emotion. You don't have to be a rah-rah guy. Sometimes being a leader is being an example by the way you act on the field. The best way to lead is by example. Absolutely. Exactly. And I totally agree with that. Hey, I wish I could keep you on longer. I have to take off because I thank you for joining me. Let's do this again next week. Okay. Hopefully you'll be in the studio. Rob, hang on just a minute, but uh, let's 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 touch base next week if you can, Lauren. Okay.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you
All right.
guys.
You
Thanks
bet.
a lot.
Got you driving.
All right. Bye bye. Bye bye. Lauren, as we come back to you to close this out, take in like 30 or 40 seconds, you have an ear within the SEC. Anything happening? Any interesting stories that are developing that we should keep an eye on over the next maybe 2 to 3 weeks, something like that?
I would, number one, be very cautionary about coaches getting fired. People can't afford to fire coaches now. And you've got
No.
people saying, if I won the lottery, first thing I'd do is buy out old Kalen DeBoer. Yeah, you're going to piss away $70 million. That's why most people that win the lottery go broke so fast, because they do stupid stuff like that. I think people are overreacting. We talked about it on the show this morning. Some fan bases, they've got legit concerns. You got to wonder, why is NIL such a big deal? Why is, if I'm Florida, I'm going, why did the offensive line, why does everybody getting these penalties? But, there are concerns. There's a lot of football to be played. Again,
I know.
the stock market's going to be open again every week. Every day it opens up. What happened yesterday happened yesterday. What starts at 8:30 when the bell rings. So my advice, and we talk to people, in fact, tomorrow morning on our SEC Sidelines Sports Network on Sidelines, we're going to have Dave Bartu, College Football Matrix, is going to launch his new poll that's a betting top 25. This has not been done before. We're going to do it in the morning. Dave Bartu.
Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. Okay. That's cool. All right. Let me ask you this, and before we get to that, Davian Benito, he comments, and I think he's right about this. My problem with the NIL and the portal is that players can go from team to team to team. And he's exactly right. They have no limitations on how many times they can go into the portal, which I think they need to stop that.
Yeah.
But okay, but here's what I wanted to ask you, because you talked about a betting line, and I'm not a betting person, so I don't understand it. LSU's favored by 9.5 points. Okay, now I want you to put this in as simple language as possible. 9.5 points plus 9.5
Gators
points.
plus 9.5. Yeah.
I see LSU. I'm hearing LSU is plus 9.5.
No, they're favored. So that means they're minus 9.5. Florida's plus 9.5. They're catching 9.5 points.
So that means that Florida starts out with a 9.5 point fantasy.
It means that Florida's got to win to cover. They just need to lose. If you take Florida, you got 9.5 points to play with. So if they lose 26-17, you cover, or you push your bookie. I'm not a betting expert. I just know how to. I like the lines. Look at it this way. There's a lot of tall buildings in Las Vegas because there's a lot of people out there that lose. That's how it works. But LSU in 2 games has scored a total of 40 points. Okay? Florida crushed Long Island T. They struggled with South Florida. Okay, neither of these are explosive offenses. It's going to come down who's got the better defense, because neither team has been explosive, to this point. And Brian Kelly, in all of his years at LSU, look at the last 3 years that Marcus Freeman's been at Notre Dame. Look what they're doing.
Yeah.
And look what Brian Kelly said. He couldn't get these kind of players at Notre Dame. So he's gone to LSU. Well, Marcus Freeman's getting them. And Marcus is coaching his ass off. So
and he's doing a great job. I
know his agent. I know his agent. I just was with his dad. I was with his dad Monday night. That guy is building something special. But I'm just saying, don't count Florida out. Now, if Florida goes on the road and just looks like just a dead man walking, there's big problems. But
major.
Look, here, this is their season in a nutshell. They'll be Saturday. Same thing for LSU. Neither team has shown against a quality opponent that they have a powerful offense. So turnovers and defense are going to win this game. Question is, who's going to make those turnovers?
Yeah, and that's going to be very interesting to see. I got to get out of here. I know you need to get out of here.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining me. I appreciate that. And if you can join me next week, we'll talk about the LSU game. Oh, yeah. Maybe discuss a little bit National Football League stuff. Mm-hmm. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, Rob.
You bet.
Thank you.
Have a great week. Y'all have fun at the Gator Club.
There we will. Rob Browne of the SEC Insider. Catch him on Facebook every weekday, I believe, 8 a.m. Central Time, 9 a.m. Eastern, I believe. So you can follow that. Okay, we got to get out of here. I know that. But before I do, let's just take you through what's happening with college football. Tonight, NC State's at Wake Forest. Tomorrow night, we have a few games, including number 22, Indiana, playing against Indiana State. Kansas against Arizona. That'd be a Fox game tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Saturday games, Clemson be at Georgia Tech. Oklahoma be at Temple. Wisconsin will be at number 19, Alabama. Do not sleep on Wisconsin. They are a very, very good football team. 2:30 in the afternoon. Georgia will take on Tennessee. That is going to be a great game. Youngstown State against Michigan State. A win for Michigan State, no doubt about it. Iowa State will be at Arkansas State. How about the Iowa State Cyclones? Last week, it was a great game. Last second field goal to win it, to defeat the Hawkeyes 2 consecutive years in a row. South Florida will be at Miami. Now that game is going to be on the CW network, and why it is, I have no idea, because that is a big game. Miami is the number 5 team in the country. Let's see here. Other games, Arkansas will be at Ole Miss. That game will be on ESPN. Texas A&M will be at Notre Dame. That is on the NBC Peacock network. NBC Sports, Peacock, you get the idea. UMass at Iowa, that's an easy win for them. Vandy will be at South Carolina. And then we have some other games coming up. Now, in the National Football League, and by the way, David Soderquist of High Top Sports just texted me. He says, I think the game would definitely be close. David, I agree. I think this is going to be a much closer game than you figure. I think that they're going to give everything that they have, and we'll see what happens. Let's see. I'm typing. But yeah, I think it's going to be definitely a defensive game for the Florida Gators. Now, as far as the National Football League goes, let's talk about the games coming up this weekend, because we have some big games. So I'm trying to get David Soderquist to come on next week. Let's see here. I've been trying to get David to come on for a long time, and David is a very intelligent, knows about the Gators, he knows his stuff, people, big time. Let's see. As we said, Washington's at Green Bay tonight. First game on Prime. They've gone to a commercial, but last I saw, Washington was up 7-0 on the over the Green Bay Packers. Who, by the way, they're wearing white helmets. So that's very interesting. Okay, other games on Sunday. New York will be at Dallas. That is a 12 o'clock game. The Bears at the Lions. That's also a 12 o'clock game. Other games: Cleveland at Baltimore, Denver at Indianapolis, Carolina will be at Arizona. Rematch of the Super Bowl. Philadelphia will be at Kansas City. That is a 4:25 Eastern time, 3:25. That game will be on Fox. Why they're not having this one on Sunday night, I have no idea. They're going to have the Falcons taking on the Minnesota Vikings. And how about J.J. McCarthy? Wow, what a stud. I mean, this guy is awesome. Now, there are going to be 2 games this coming Monday night. Tampa Bay, the Bucs would take on Houston. That game will be at 6 p.m. East Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central. They'll take on the road at Houston, followed by the other night game, which will be the LA Chargers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Vince, so you might want to check those games out. Those are going to be 2 terrific games. Guys, I got to get out of here. I think I've worn my welcome out enough. I want to thank Davian Benito, Colin Palanchi for joining me, David Sodaquist for also chiming in, most notably Ron Browne of SEC Inside Lines joining me, as well as Loren Meadows. Y'all make it a great week. Saturday night, Gators at LSU. 7:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 Central. And as I always like to say, if you are not a Gator, you're primed to be Gator bait. Good night, everybody. God bless. And we'll talk to you later on. And thank you for joining me.
Thanks for joining Joe Fulford on Half Full and a Cup of Joe. Don't forget to tune in next time for more football talk, analysis, and fun. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Half Full and a Cup of Joe. And remember, always keep your cup half full and your team spirit full. See you next time.